This painting, titled "The First at Manassas," depicts the 1st Virginia Cavalry as are charging into the flank of the 11th New York State Militia during the First Battle of Bull Run. Before we start talking about the details of this painting, let's go ahead and read the certificate of authenticity to get a better understanding of what actually is happening in this piece.
No regiment on either side went into battle that warm Sunday afternoon with a more vaunted reputation. The 11th New York Infantry seemed to have all the prerequisites for success. It had been raised by Colonel Elmer E. Ellsworth, a pre-war drill master of great fame, a personal friend of President Lincoln's, and now the Union's most lamented martyr, killed by an irate hotel owner on the Union Army's first day on Virginia soil. The regiment's stock was drawn largely from the fire companies of New York City. These were men who had already had a reputation for indomitability. Their dress marked them as distinctive too. Red firemen's shirts, red and blue fezzes, and dark blue trousers tucked into brown leather leggings. They were the Fire Zouaves, and much was expected of them. But never had they guessed battle would be like this. The Fire Zouaves in the 1st Minnesota had been the first infantry regiment to ascend Henry Hill in what was to be the final climactic movement of the first major battle of the Civil War. But instead of finding unworthy foes, they found what was to be ever known after as the Stonewall Brigade. In 10 minutes of brutal combat, nearly 100 of the Zouaves had been shot down. Now, they and the Minnesotans were tumbling back down the slope of the hill, little more than a bewildered rabble. A few hundred yards away, beyond a skirt of woods, Col J.E.B Stuarts was leading 150 men of the 1st Virginia Cavalry into position to guard General Jackson's left flank. Like the Zouaves, the Southern horsemen rode onto the field at Manassas with both attitude and reputation. Their attitude stemmed from Virginians' age-old tradition of horsemanship and their confidence that no Yankee could withstand thundering Confederate horseflesh. Their reputation resided largely in the minds of their foes, who had elevated the Confederate cavalry to a fearsome and largely unwarranted level. The appearance of any horses, by they bays, grays, or blacks, stimulated the cry "Black Horse Cavalry" among Northern soldiers. In the days preceding the battle, no 3 words stimulated more fear among the Yankees. Stuart, of course, heard the commotion that marked the opening of the fight for Henry Hill, and, fearing that the Federals were trying to get around Jackson's left, he rode forward to have a look. What he saw startled him. Red-shirted soldiers running down the hill towards Sudley Road. Stuart instantly, and wrongly, guessed they were Confederates. He yelled, "Don't run, boys, we are here." To this, the Federals paid no heed, and soon Stuart spotted a U.S. flag. He immediately rode back to his 2 companies and ordered a charge. The Southern horsemen emerged from the woodline and started, like an arrow from a bow, across 70 yards of open space. At 50 yards, the Yankees spotted them. Things looked badly, understated one Yankee. The Fire Zouaves friendly tried to form a line of battle. Some knelt, some stood. The Confederates fired first, probably the first fall of the war fired by mounted men. The bullets flew harmlessly over the Zouaves. The New Yorkers responded with a volley of their own. The blast of lead and smoke staggered the Southern line. Men and horses tumbled into the dirt, but still the Confederates came on. The Union ranks tried to scatter from the path of the charging horsemen. When Lieutenant William Blackford reached the Federals, his horse tried to jump the line, as if it were a fence. But Comet could not make the leap and struck one Union soldier in the chest. The Yankee tumbled backward, and, wrote Blackford, I leaned down from the saddle, rammed the muzzle of my carbine into his stomach, and pulled the trigger. I could not help feeling a little sorry for the fellow, as he lifted his handsome face to mine while he tried to get his bayonet up to meet me. But he was too slow, for the carbine blew a hole as big as my arm clear through him. Cutting and slashing, Stuart's horsemen rode through the Federals, who fled for the woods west of the Sudley Road. It was then about time to run, admitted one Yankee. Stuart tried to reform for a second charge, but before he could, the Federals had vanished into the timber. Stuart's horsemen picked their way among corpses and wounded back to cover the left of Jackson's line. Though the charge inflicted little damage to the Federals, it had come at precisely the right moment. The 11th New York and 1st Minnesota would not fight as units the rest of the day. Indeed, the vaunted Fire Zouaves, their reputation ruined and their morale broken, would never fight again. This certificate of authenticity was written by John Hennessy. John Hennessy is a former historian at Manassas battlefield. He has written extensively on the Battle of Manassas, including Return to Bull Run, a study of the Second Manassas Campaign. He also has worked as an exhibit planner at the National Park Service Harper Ferry Center.
One thing I like about this painting is that it's busy, but not cluttered. There's a lot of interesting little vignettes here and there that are really cool to pick up on if you look close enough. For one instance, you can actually see one of these fire zouaves is wearing a hat that says "Avenge Ellsworth's death," referencing their commander who was actually killed earlier on in the war as the Union forces were moving to Alexandria, Virginia. He was actually killed by a tavern owner as he's taking a Confederate flag down off of the building. Another cool attention to detail is James Ewell Brown Stewart here is depicted to wear his pre-war uniform. Another incident is you can see William Blackford actually firing his carbine into the poor Zouave victim, where the wound was described as actually being so large where he could run his arm through it. If you look down closely enough, you can actually see a lot of soldiers being trampled by cavalry members. Great attention to detail. It's whirling, it's confusing. You have to kind of do a lot of double takes to see which side which figure's on. Is this officer Union? Is this officer Confederate? Which is a big thing that happened during the Battle of First Manassas. There's a lot of command and control confusions because of these pre-war militia units that were wearing kind of whatever they wanted to wear, whatever uniforms they could buy. You can see little things like officers being carried off the field, men cocking and loading their revolvers. There's just so much intimate detail that goes into this. And a lot of historians, particularly the Civil War, have a lot of difficulties portraying cavalry battles, but Troiani is certainly not one of them. This has form and flow to it and has a feeling of authenticity. This is certainly one of his finer pieces. It's currently only available on the secondary market, most likely eBay or Facebook Marketplace, so good luck finding it. Thank you incredibly much for watching this video. If you're interested, please like, comment, subscribe. Very much appreciate that. If you want to, also please go check out our Patreon if you want to support us further. Thank you very much.